My Lords, this instrument seeks to amend the Protection of Freedoms Act. The moment one sees a Labour government fiddling with our freedoms, one is naturally anxious as to what it is they have in mind. The Protection of Freedoms Act was, of course, one of the great achievements in fact, it was a Liberal Democrat-inspired achievement of the coalition government from those happy days when the country was run by a quad of David and George and Nick and the red-headed guy, whoever that was, and so on. But now it's being amended, and so one looks very carefully to see what it is that's being proposed. In fact, as the noble Baroness Lady Pigeon said, it is much less dramatic than it might be, and it's essentially to do with enforcement at railway station car parks. But I do have some questions. I'm interested really in the thinking behind this and the timing and how it fits in particular with the proposed architecture of the Rail Reform Bill published last week for the first time and therefore now available to us to scrutinise the government's plans for railway reform. The basic position is that car parks at railway stations are currently covered by railway bylaws. And what is wrong with that? I mean, the bylaws, it turns out, are unsatisfactory in some respects. So it was open to the government to come to this House with a view to amending the bylaws that govern the station car parks, amending the railway bylaws, keeping it all, if you like, within the railway family. But that isn't, in fact, what they've done. The Department for Transport has not taken us down that track. Instead, they're effectively outsourcing the whole matter to an MHCLG code of conduct. How does that fit with our plans for a single directing mind for railway infrastructure? And they're doing this at a very strange time because, again, as the noble Baroness Lady Pigeon has pointed out, the government is in the process of consulting on a new code of enforcement for private enforcement of car parking. I believe the consultation closed only in September, that's very recently, and of course it's too early for MHCLG to have finished its consideration of that consultation or to have issued its plans for the future. So we don't know what it is we're actually being invited to impose upon drivers and who are parking their vehicles at railway station car parks. We come to this House. The noble Baroness complains, quite rightly, that it has taken 5 years to bring this forward since the consultation was undertaken. My complaint is that now that it is coming forward, it's being done in a very rushed manner, when it would be a great deal more sensible, given where we are with the consultation on the code of conduct, if the instrument were to wait until we knew what that code of conduct said. Indeed, one would have thought that the train operating companies, now currently being absorbed into the Department for Transport, but nonetheless the train operating companies or Great British Rail that is going to come and replace them, would want to know as much as I do what that enforcement regime is going to look like once the new code of practice is in place, before they relinquish their powers under statutory bylaws, which I understand the Minister can extinguish without reference to Parliament. So in general, I mean, if the government wants to do this, I don't think the official opposition, is going to stand in their way. But it seems to me a very strange thing for the government to want to do, just at the time that it's putting in place a single directing mind covering all rail infrastructure, and handing this over effectively to a statutory structure which is going to be dominated by a code of parking practice issued by a different government department and not even available to us at the time at which the Department for Transport is relinquishing the powers.